As a web designer, you may get a client contacting you, asking you if you can set up their WordPress website into a cPanel hosting environment. Now, I'm not a massive fan of clients' own hosting, as quite often it's woefully old, a bit slow, and generally can be outdated. Sometimes, though, I'm pleasantly surprised when a client asks for my thoughts. I like a good old-fashioned cPanel environment because it's tried, tested, and robust. You know what you're getting, and there are no fancy interfaces that can quite often make an installation a bit clunky. But let's set the scene. You've got a new client, they're looking for a basic WordPress installation, and they've got a nice up-to-date cPanel environment for you to upload the latest version of WordPress into. You're going to do it from scratch. Now, this tutorial is going to walk you through step by step exactly what you're going to need to do to get the latest version of WordPress and then download it. Then I'm going to show you how to take the file and upload it to your hosting environment. On this occasion, my favorite, cPanel. Then we're going to install it. We're also going to have a look at a couple of issues that can crop up in certain situations and how we can resolve them. So without further ado, let's get to it. So we're in cPanel now. Now, I'd like to, before we start uploading anything or doing anything with our environment, I just like to make a couple of checks. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to check to see whether or not all of our DNS servers and name servers are lined up properly. Now, what I should expect to see is a white screen with a couple of lines of folders in the top left-hand corner. So let's see if that has actually happened. I hadn't spelled it properly. Hey, and there we are. It's already refreshed and it is ready to go. So we have a blank environment. Now, the first thing that I always like to do is I like to make sure that we're running the latest version of PHP. And we're going to be uploading our WordPress installation into the latest version of PHP, and we need to just make a few setting tweaks, which I always like to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to find the PHP manager, and here it is. We click on multi PHP manager, and we can see that at the moment, it's on a very, very old version of PHP 5.6, and WordPress, and particularly the plugins that are associated with WordPress, are not going to like that at all. So we're going to change it to 7.4, hit the apply button, and there we are. It was as simple as that. We're now in the most up-to-date PHP. I'm just going to change a couple of the extra settings inside PHP as well, just to ensure that everything works as it should do. So here are the things that I normally change. So I'm just going to find the environment. I normally allow URL fopen. I don't enable display errors. I do enable DL. I leave the maximum execution time as it is, and I leave the maximum input time as they are. Input variables I leave as they are. The memory limit I do tend to jack up to about 200 megabytes. The maximum post size, certainly to begin with, although I wouldn't leave it at this once the website is live, I normally crank it up to 100 megabytes, and the same with the upload size, because some of the plugins and some of the uploads, and if I'm also uploading a backup, it needs quite a lot of, it needs that upload size to be high to allow those to actually upload. So I'm going to leave them like that for the time being. But once we go live, rest assured I'll be coming back in here and changing them back down to a more sensible size to prevent those naughty people from uploading files that are going to disrupt this website. So that's kind of the background work. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to download the latest version of WordPress by going to wordpress.org and downloading it. So wordpress.org/download. So let's go to the latest version, 5.6. Excellent. So we're going to download that. And lo and behold, we are indeed downloading. It is a very small file. It's only 15.8 meg. So that's not going to take very long at all. And indeed it has already completed. So we're now going to go back to our cPanel installation, and this time we're going to go into File Manager. Now what we're looking for in File Manager is the public HTML folder, because that is the folder that everybody can see. All of these others are generally hidden from the general public, but as it suggests, public HTML is where it's at. So we are going to now upload our WordPress instance, the zipped file, from my download folder on my Mac up into the website server. So here we go. So what I've done is let's just go back because I don't feel that I explained it properly. So I've gone into, let's start again, File Manager. I've then double clicked on public HTML because if we actually look at what people can see from the outside world right now, if I click on silversurferit.co.uk, you can see that there's nothing and then there's a folder called CGI bin. Now if we actually have a look here, this is exactly where we're at. We've got CGI bin here and the php.ini is an invisible file to the outside world, as you can see. So this is where we want to upload our WordPress installation to. So we're going to click upload, select the file. Now I know that my WordPress installation has been delivered to my downloads folder. I'm going to single click on WordPress and hit open. Now what's happening is all of the files for WordPress are currently being uploaded to my web server. And in a moment, it is going to be complete. I just think we're probably... there. It was actually there all the time. It was just very slow to reload. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to unpack it because it's basically like all compressed inside a zipped suitcase. So with all good suitcases, we need to unzip it. So let us extract into the public HTML folder. And there we are. It's already unzipped all of those files and folders. So if we reload, we can now see that there is a normal WordPress folder, which of course is where all of the files are going to be. And look, there they all are, all there, ready to go. Now, just going back, if I was inside the WordPress folder, if I now click on the up one level, I want to get rid of the instance of WordPress because it's just good practice to get rid of stuff you're not going to need again. So let's delete that. Thank you very much. You've been wonderful, WordPress. And let's go into WordPress. And I want to move all of these files. Now, I'll explain why. If I refresh Silver Surfer IT, you will now see that the CGI-bin folder has been joined by a WordPress folder. But you'll notice that actually what should happen is we don't want the website to be served from a subdirectory. So we need to move all of those files and folders into just the public HTML root directory. So we are now going to highlight all of these by clicking select all, and we're going to click move. So we're going to move the folders and files, and we want to just get rid of the word WordPress and the first slash, the first // and then hit move files. And as you can see, the directory has emptied. And what's happened? Yes, that's right, it's all gone into the higher level folder. So we're going to get rid of this folder of WordPress because there's nothing in it anymore, as you can see. Click back up one level. So let's get rid of that as well, just to keep everything nice and tidy. Okay, now you're probably wondering, is that it? Well, if we click refresh, you're probably going to be a bit disappointed because we haven't really got as far as we need to be just yet. So let's follow the instructions. We're going to hit English UK. You now see that it actually tells you a little bit more information, things that you're going to need. So we need a database name, so we need to create a database. We need a database username, so we need to create that. And we also need a database password, so we're going to need to create that. And finally, the database host. Now, actually, it's not the final thing because we need the table prefix as well, which we can find out once we've created the database. So the database host normally, but not always, is localhost. You would type that in as the name of the database host address. So I'm going to show you now how to set up the next bits. So let's go and find how to set up the database that we need. So here we go. We're going to close off the file manager, and we're going to go into MySQL databases. Okay. Now you can see that each database is prefixed. This is prefixed with the environment name. So this happens to be the start of silversurfer.co.uk. So I'm going to call this silversue, which I can't change, _ munchies. Okay, that's now created the database. The database already lives, and you can see it. Now I've gone back in. It says silversue _ munchies. So that's brilliant news, right? So we've already got our database. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the username that we'll need to log into the database, because WordPress needs a MySQL database to work off. So we're going to give it a username and a password. So here we go. Right. So I've now added my password. I'm now going to add it again, and we're now going to create the user. Now, that's okay. So we've now got a database and we've now got a user, but we now need to marry the two together, because the two actually are not connected in any way. Add user to database is what we use for that, and it's just further down the page. So we hit add. Now I normally give that username all the privileges. I hit make changes, and we have now connected those two together. We've created the database, and we now have one user and a password to accompany it and to make it work. So I'm going to copy the database name, because I know that that's going to be the next thing it asks for. The database name is there. The username, we already know this because we've just made it. We're now going to add that in. Here we go. And the password. The database host is localhost. And the table prefix, we're going to leave it as WP. So now we're going to hit run the installation. I'm going to call the website Silver Surfer IT Support. Let's go back, change that to capital I, capital T. We'll give this a username and a password. There we go. Oh, so now it says password strength unknown. I'll take that as very, you know, it's good enough. It's good enough. So at the moment, I'm going to flag the website to not be indexed by the search engines. You may decide not to do that. You may decide to just leave it and let the search engines pick up what they can. I'm just going to leave it there because I know that the development time on this may be a little bit longer than normal. So I'm now going to hit install WordPress. We're going to hit login. Oh dear, that one password is going to get really annoying. And we are now logged in. Now, one of the issues that I spoke about at the outset is that sometimes SSL doesn't work so well straight off the bat with a WordPress website. So I tend to install a plugin to cover that off. I'm just going to get rid of, it's always good practice to get rid of any plugins that you don't want to use. So I'm going to just get rid of these two for the time being, just so that we've got nothing in here. I'm then going to add new, and I'm going to type in SSL. WordPress is now going to do a search, and I go for really simple SSL. I hit install now. It will take a moment to install it. The next thing we need to do is we then need to activate it. There we go. And I then click on go ahead and activate SSL. Now I'm being warned again that it wasn't secure. I hit send anyway, because what should happen now is it should be a proper bona fide SSL link. So we'll just check that. So as you can see, we have indeed now got a secure connection, which is good, and it's exactly what you need to do. We now have our first homepage for this installation, so it's actually installed itself. It's now working, and everything is ready for our customization process that we will undertake when we start to build out this website. And I'll be doing that in another episode, so stay tuned, keep watching, and hopefully you found that useful.